I help people take their products and ideas from concept to fruition the right way. Because you know, there's a right way and there's a wrong way of doing things.
Start noticing the things that are happening around us that are actually encouraging us to take action towards what we desire.
We saw some people with this is going to sound crazy, with a suitcase and have wheels on it, a handle. And we thought, how many people had that idea before the one guy wrote the patent and did it?
And as entrepreneurs, that's the danger. If you're spending all day just kind of, okay, let me just put out this small fire, this small fire, this small thing, just so I don't forget. At the end of the day, you take inventory. What did I do today, right? And is it actually pushing my business forward?
I'm Richard Gearhart.
And I'm Elizabeth Gearhart. You've just heard snippets of our conversation with our guest tonight. And I got to tell you, you want to hear the rest of this show. So stay tuned.
I'm Richard Gearhart.
And I'm Elizabeth Gearhart.
Welcome to Passage to Profit, the show that's all about innovation, entrepreneurs, and the intellectual property that makes them flourish. Tonight, our very special guest, the brilliant, the capable, the enchanting Lisa Ascolese, the Inventress. She's a great friend of ours, and she'll have lots of great information for you coming up.
Wow. And I second everything he just said, and I would even add more, but it would take too long. So moving on.
That was huge and I'm blushing. I hope I can live up to it.
And moving on to our presenters, have you ever tried to do something, but you feel your intention ebbing over time? Well, Alexa Fischer has a beautiful way to keep you on the path. And I'm going to let her talk about it. And then our next presenter, Jeff Gordon, has the perfect solution for anybody that lives in a building and wants to have plants outside. And Valerie Trapunsky, we've known her for years. Full disclosure, we use her service. She has amazing virtual assistants. So you want to stay tuned and listen to all these people explain what they have and what they're doing.
Absolutely. But before we do that, it's time for IP in the news. And so who do we have on the presenter desk today?
Well, Tesla just got issued a patent on September 7th, 2021. And I was looking on articles and I thought this seemed a little strange. But they're basically gonna shine lasers like window blades on their cars to clean the windshield off. And I don't they know what they're doing.
Right. Well, it sounds really Buck Rogers to me. I mean, I love the idea of using like lasers on anything, but to have laser, I mean, this is like Star Wars, right? And so you have lasers on your car. That is so cool. And if you ever wanted to have like one of those James Bond missile launchers for the person in front of you who's just driving too slow, I mean, what if you could just turn these lasers around and focus on them? Wouldn't that be awesome?
I hope they don't go off when the car's moving, because they would point straight in your eyes. But it's the title of the patent is Pulse Laser Cleaning of Debris Accumulated on Glass Articles in Vehicles and Photovoltaic Assemblies.
Oh, that sounds simple.
But what's really cool about this is that they're also looking at it for solar panels, which I think, as long as they have the laser set at the right strength.
Zapping solar panels?
Zapping the dirt off, cleaning off solar panels.
Yeah, that makes
sense.
So
as long as they have the laser set at the right strength and they know the ratio of.
You just hope there's not any birds or squirrels on the solar panels when you're
they'll learn pretty quick.
Those off. Okay, well.
On to Richard's
roundtable. So we have our delightful guests, and we'd like to hear your opinion about this invention, or if you have any other intellectual property question, let it fly. So, of course, we need to go to our guest first, Lisa Ascolese. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Richard. Hi, Elizabeth. Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure. So what do you think about all this laser-guided dirt killer stuff?
Guided is really the optimal word, because it's got to be guided and directed. First thing I'm thinking is, okay, you got to cover your eyes when they the windshield. But their technology is so grand and so great that they have to have a way of obviously guiding and directing it so it's not in your face, right, or anybody's face. Because if it's not on you, then it's on the car in front of you So I think it's interesting. Knowing Jeff, I think it can be done. It can absolutely be done. The technology is obviously there, and they'll create it in a way so it's covered and protected, I guess.
Yeah,
think
I mean,
blockers, like, I don't know.
the patent's fantastic, and I wonder if Elon Musk used this to wipe the windshield of his of his rocket when it was going up into
Elon,
space.
yes, exactly. Absolutely.
So
I think it's interesting.
yeah, it is. And so you learn a lot of interesting things when you're reading patents. You kind of see the future kind of coming at you, right? So this is, you know, we joke about this, but I'm sure they do it in a safe way. Yeah, quite honestly, if I had wiper blades that were lasers, I'd prefer that to the rubber ones, which always seem to wear out and you have to replace them all the time. So, you know, laser is probably a little more expensive than a rubber washer blade, but eventually the cost would come down. And I think it's a neat idea. I applaud them. Yeah, I applaud the inventor. So
All things are possible these days.
yeah, I know. It's just amazing. Alexa, what do you think?
Well, I think at first glance, I wouldn't think that a windshield wiper is something that requires innovation. But on the other hand, I'm excited to think about the other applications of the technology. And knowing Elon Musk, he probably has his eyes set on something far more grand. And I like, Richard, how you mentioned that immediately there's an application for solar panels. So I'm just going to say, I always applaud innovation. I hope that, like Lisa suggested, there's some due diligence to make sure that there's not some unintended consequences, but it would be curious to see what their thoughts are or where this projects into the future in terms of where they can use this technology beyond the windshield.
Right. I think that's an excellent point. I'm cleaning windows or around the house and all of that stuff, you know, cleaning the refrigerator, just zapping all the food products.
Okay, maybe we should ask Jeff. Jeff, what was your take on this?
My first feeling is, what about the homeless person who washes windows for a living and reaches and loses a hand? That's the first thing I thought of.
Yeah,
But this is an IP question. Doesn't it have to be a benefit to society? And I'm just trying to figure out how this is better than, seriously, than the old water and the wiper blade. I'm just trying, I mean, is it better on bugs? Is it got some, other than it being neat, I really don't see it being that much of an advance. And that's my take.
Well, that's a really great question. And the Constitution, when it talks about intellectual property, talks about protecting new and useful inventions. And so that it kind of ties back to your question about, is this really, you know, useful? But usefulness is the standard for usefulness for a patent, you'll be glad to hear, is actually very, very low, right? So it in order to get a patent, it doesn't necessarily have to be useful. It has to be new and it has to be non-obvious, right? So if it's new, even if it's not that useful, and it's non-obvious, which means it's not just a simple variation of something that's already out there, then you can get a patent on it. And so there are lots and lots of patents, for example, even in the chemical space, where or, you know, for pharmaceuticals, where the drugs don't work, right? They're protecting them before they go into a clinical trial, and then they find out later it's toxic or something, and they dump the whole project. But you can still get a patent on it, even if it's not that useful. So that is the first time somebody's asked that question on the show.
Great question. So who's next?
That's why I'm here.
Valerie?
So, you know, hard for me to speak on this particular invention because I don't drive. I'm a New York girl. You know, I take the subway, I take the bicycle, I use my feet. But one thing that I was curious about IP overall was that I've had conversations recently with people who have IP that have been sitting on it for the last 10, 15 years. And they have a fear of applying for a patent because, similar to this kind of roundtable that we're doing now, once you apply, the information is out there. And so what would you say to entrepreneurs who are nervous about the amount of information that's put into a patent, and what should you do?
So Valerie, that's a great question, and people always are curious about that. The short answer is if they put their invention, their product in the public domain, can it be easily copied by somebody else? So the advantage of having a patent is if you spend lots of time developing your technology, it's in programming it or researching it, and then it can be copied easily, and the other company doesn't have to spend all the time that your company did investing in developing the product. Then it makes sense to patent it if it's patentable. Now, if it's not reverse engineerable, that is, it's hard to copy. If it's information that's kept sort of in the back end, like the back end of the software program or a secret chemical process, then you can keep it as a trade secret, and you don't have to put any of the information out in the public domain. But that's a complicated question, and if somebody has that, it's really a good idea to contact your patent professional, because it's very fact dependent, and there's a lot of different considerations that go into it. But thank you for asking. That's great.
Thank you.
Kenya?
I'm really excited about this invention because I'm one of those people that never has enough time to warm up the car in the morning. So it has the capability to de-ice the windshield.
Oh my gosh.
Go out and like scrape it. I'm like, oh my, sign me up. Sign me up. It's gotta be, right? The whole laser function. I mean, like, besides cleaning it, it's gotta probably heat up the windshield to some capacity. So I need that in my life.
For sure.
Well, Kenya, you are our creative genius on this show, so of course you'd come up
That's
with.
the hidden motive for this patent, for sure. They're gonna make stop people from having to brush their car off in the winter. I think that's wonderful.
That'd be worth a lot.
And save you from forgetting to put windshield wiper fluid in there, because I forget that too, unless Norris does it.
Oh, well, we lived in Michigan. It got down to -22. It's like, no windshield wiper fluid's gonna work on that. So yeah, that's a good thought.
So that's really great. So thank you everybody for your comments. You're listening to Passage to Profit with Richard and Elizabeth Gearhart. We'll be right back with our guest, Lisa Ascolese, right after this. Welcome back, everybody. It's Richard and Elizabeth Gearhart, of course, on Passage to Profit. And one of our favorite people, Lisa Ascolese, the Inventress, is here with us in the studio tonight. Lisa, welcome, and thanks for joining us. All right.
Thank you for having me once again. I always enjoy this. I get the biggest kick out of both of you, first and foremost.
Yeah,
should have their own. You should
This
have
is
your own
completely
show.
reversed.
Yeah. So she tells me I'm funny. I don't even know. But Lisa, why don't you tell our listening audience what exactly you do? Because there may be people that don't know who you are.
Sure, I'll start from the beginning. So my name is Lisa Ascolese, known as the Inventress. I help people take their products and ideas from concept to fruition the right way, because there's a right way and there's a wrong way of doing things. So I've been inventing products since I'm 9 years old, long time ago, and just walking people through the entire process. I have many patents and trademarks of my own, but I do all of the in-betweens as well. And many people don't know there are in-betweens. It's not just develop a product and put it on the shelf. They like to believe that, but they're all of the intricacies and details, such as creating prototypes, getting patents done, getting manufacturing in place, getting sourcing in place, shipping, and all of those details that people mentally leave out. Many people just want to invent something and put it on the shelf and become millionaires. And you can't become
that way.
You let me take a look at your proprietary list that you give to your clients one time. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like 5 pages long, and you lead them through every step, right? So
all their steps.
Yeah. So, but I promised you I would not copy it or tell anybody what's on it, because
it's a trade secret.
It's a trade secret.
It is a trade secret.
Yeah.
It is a trade secret. But everybody has to know it. So eventually when they come to me for a consultation, which they can, My website is inventingatoz.com. You can email me info@inventingatoz.com. And I literally take you through all of the steps of product development the right way. And of course, I team up with Elizabeth and Richard when it's time for you to get your patent and all of those things. You go right to them. They're amazing. But this is what I do. So this is what I do. And I know you're talking about shipping and sourcing. These are some of the questions you had, but I'll let you ask the questions. How about that?
Can I ask a question? So how has COVID affected the whole consumer product chain manufacturing? Has it made a big difference?
It has, especially recently. You know, in the beginning of COVID, many people were home, working from home and having extra money to develop products and just be creative, be their creative selves. And that part of the beginning of COVID was fantastic for many people. Unfortunate, but monetarily, entrepreneurship was great for many. So then we get to the sourcing and the shipping part. So let me explain what sourcing is. Sourcing is when you look for a manufacturer, an engineer to actually develop your product. So that was moving okay in the beginning. Then, once we got on lockdown, some of the production, including prototyping, paused. We ramped back up again. All right, everybody went back to business. Many manufacturers reopened. Now we're manufacturing like crazy. Then shipping came to a halt in some instances. And that's freight, that's shipping, that's freight. And there's a lot of stuff that goes on there. So when it comes to shipping merchandise, we have to be very, very creative, especially in this today. So I have a couple of people who are ready to ship. Some are on the water. Some we sent by air, had to send by air because it was just impossible to send by freight because it would have just taken too long. And it's very expensive.
I was just going to say, I know of clients who've had their shipments sitting in customs for weeks and they couldn't get the packages and the product out, right? So very disruptive.
Yeah, one of your clients actually, Kevin Lane, who makes Create a Castle, which is a wildly popular product. You have a meeting every Monday called Motivational Monday, and he's always there and I'm always there. And we were talking about this. He told me that it looked like a small town had sprung up at the Port Authority in New Jersey because there were so many shipping containers just sitting there, not being taken to where he needed his to get to his warehouse so he and his family could unpack it. I mean, they work so hard, but he was just having trouble even doing that piece of the puzzle, right?
Yeah. Customs had to make sure everything was, many packages had to be opened before they got to the warehouses. And
so was that for COVID? They were looking for like COVID stuff, or why I can understand the slowdown from the factories, but why at the customs?
Well, there was so much backed up, and you have to remember, during a time like this, there's a lot of fraud and people will try to get stuff, across the water. So you got to make sure everything is on the up and up, which also costs people a lot more money to ship. So we were all backed up. Like Kevin said, it was a whole Port Authority was backed up. The shipping portals here in New Jersey were backed up. It was just insane. And it's continuously happening. So it's important to figure out if you can ship freight with another company too. So we want to limit, extra freight that's going out unnecessarily. Try to combine freight. I don't know if this is foreign to people I'm talking to, but if you can combine your freight, your shipment with other entrepreneurs who have products, you're better off too. Minimizing the shipping and minimizing your cost.
What about like shipping into Canada and then driving it into the US? Is that too expensive, or are they having the same issues, or, Mexico, or, some other strategy like that?
That's a good question, Richard. I don't know about the shipping to Canada. I don't know about that, but that's probably something I can pose to one of my manufacturers. I have had merchandise shipped from Mexico. It was also paused because the COVID rate was much higher there at one point. So they paused and were letting anything out. Nothing was leaving Mexico at one point. But what I'm doing for many items that are smaller is I'm having them flown.
Right.
which is an easier way of doing things. Maybe a little bit more cost effective, believe it or not now. Shipping
Really?
on the water is exorbitant. Yes.
Wow, that's a flip flop from
Yeah.
a couple years ago, because it was so much cheaper to ship stuff by boat. And now you're saying shipping it by air is cheaper, which gets
For
it there a
certain
lot
items.
faster too, right?
Yes, for certain items, yes. But yeah, I was shocked. Recently, my manufacturer said, we'll fly this in. And we weighted the pros and cons, the finances, and it was a lot cheaper to fly it in.
Well, I guess, yeah, especially if you factor in the time at the dock, right? I mean, that is lost time to market, which
That's correct.
costs everybody money, right? So you definitely, that sounds like a great option for those kinds of products that can be shipped that way, for sure.
So can we talk about funding a little bit? So I know that some people get funding to manufacture what they're doing, and there's different places to get it. So how do you help people find the money to manufacture? Where do they get it from?
So a lot of my clients will take out small business loans if they have, I was going to say if they have their act together. That's not nice. So if if you're doing business the
They're
way you're
shrewd enough, right?
meaning paying off your debt, not having personal credit cards, things like that, being able to purchase everything through your business account, right? So opening a doing business as account, or getting an LLC and starting to put money in your personal checking account and showing efforts to purchase and sell from your account, you can sometimes get a small business loan. Okay, small business loan, low interest, etc.
And what is the value of that? Can you get like $5,000, $10,000? How much money is available?
Yeah, it depends on your credit. It really depends on your own personal credit score. They're not giving you hundreds of thousands of dollars. One of my clients just got $50,000. And there are also grants available depending upon what you're selling, what you're creating.
Right.
If you're creating something for COVID, I think you know this also. In this environment, if you're developing something for your community, something for COVID, chances are there are grants out there available to help you out. Crowdfunding is another way. Speaking with people, we had a lady on our show last week, helping people with crowdfunding, finding ways to do some crowdfunding. People want to help you. If you have the passion and the real desire and the purpose of, to help other people, there are people who are going to want to help you. So crowdfunding is great, checking out grants, and just really doing your due diligence, because money is there. Money is definitely there.
So would you suggest that people use factoring, and can you explain a little bit about what that is and how it works? Because I think that when you try to get money through factoring, they take a pretty big chunk, right?
I'm not sure about how factoring goes. I can't answer that with full knowledge, so I can't address it. And if you're talking about, some people get crowdfunding or money without having to pay it back. Okay,
Well,
so
the factoring is simply taking a PO, or you have an order and you, from a customer, you take it to the bank and they give you the money to produce the stuff, and they charge you a fee for that. And
yes.
Usually it's more established companies that use that, and it's less available to entrepreneurs. So
A purchase order does help, I have to say. A purchase order does help. For example, when I have clients who are my QVC clients, sometimes it's a lot of merchandise you need, and everybody doesn't have $40,000 sitting in their bank, right? At least not for products.
Right.
So they can take their purchase order, again, take it to their bank, but showing that they're doing business, having your LLC in place and all of your corporate papers in place, and understanding the way QVC works and just understanding the value of your product, you may get money from a bank based upon your purchase order.
So to go back to crowdfunding for just a minute. So are your clients pre-selling their items through their crowdfunding campaign? So is it kind of like a pre-ordering service?
For some people, yes. And there are different crowdfunding campaigns. I don't know all of them, but there are some campaigns where you can pre-sell, they can pre-order. I do have to say that you have to be proven though. There's so much fraud again out there that people are saying, I'm selling product on Amazon, pretending to ship merchandise, and some folks never get it. So now they're very, very tight with their, They're making sure that you could provide inventory that you're saying you're going to provide. So you're not going to get paid necessarily for the funding. So it's a double-edged sword. You don't always get paid for the funding, but these people are promising to pay you when they get their merchandise.
So I like two things that you said. One is getting all the formalities of the bank account and the LLC set up. I think that's kind of seems like a kind of unnecessary chore sometimes to some entrepreneurs, because they feel like, well, why do I need to do this? Let's see how it goes first, and I'll go back and do it later. But it really helps a lot in giving your startup credibility. And so it is something that you should consider doing relatively early on once you've made a commitment to going forward with the project. But the other thing I wanted to point out is there seems to be sort of a general theme here that, at least in some businesses, the incidences of fraud from your perspective, seem to be going up because of the COVID, that there's so many distractions. And, you know, is that a true statement?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't know if you've seen what's going on social media, and I don't want to call that any specific platform, but, you know, bank accounts are open. Your whole life is open to everyone. You know, where we have so many different apps where all you have to do is, you know, put your phone number in and all your information is there. So it makes it easier for people who are looking to extort. It's easy. Well, I don't know how they do it. These people have these kinds of brains, but it's easy to take your identity, take all of your information and you know, pretend you're selling products, and take money. Take money from people. And that's happening a lot. My sister works for a bank. She's, you know, director of marketing for some bank in Texas, and it's happening all the time.
Wow. That, I mean, and it's really, you try to be careful with those things, but after a while, you know, they're asking for my social security number on just about everything now. I'm like, why do you know, why does Zoom need my social security number? You know, not that Zoom is asking for it, but I mean, that's an extreme example. But
I think the moral of the story here is, yeah, you can go find somebody who says they do what Lisa does or whatever, or maybe part of it. If you don't know that they're a real person actually doing that and have success stories and histories with people, you can get ripped off in this business so easily. So that's why we refer a lot of clients to Lisa, because we know she's not going to steal from them. You have to be so careful who you work with.
And I want to go back to the sourcing and the manufacturing. Even there, you know, if you're doing sourcing, looking for manufacturer, you need to know that this company actually exists. You know, it's hard to know. We're on the other side of the world in many cases. And so you have to do your due diligence if you're doing this on your own. Make sure that they can prove to you their actual manufacturing plant, that they don't just have 2 sewing machines in a back bedroom, you know, that they can provide proof, documentation, testing, you know, there's a plethora of things that you could ask them for when you're doing your own sourcing, because it's the time, you know, and you're giving manufacturers 50% of whatever you're manufacturing. So you have to trust and believe that they're going to be able to provide you with money, the inventory that you're paying for.
Well, I've heard in the past that you should actually try to go visit their factory in person, no matter where they are. And if you can't do that, then you need a representative from the US to go do that for you, because like
or
you
a
said,
representative in China, you know, if you have a trusted agent there who can verify it for you. Yeah. I mean, I think that makes you know, makes absolutely perfect sense.
Well, have you heard of smishing now?
No.
Smishing?
It's
Is that a
brand new.
dance?
It sounds like it,
I do
Richard.
the smish.
People are sending malicious text messages now. SMS is another word for text, right? To try to steal the information from your phone and to try to get you to enter information and stuff. Because now I'm getting text messages with "you owe us, pay here," and I never click those anyway, because I would never pay through a text. But yeah, they're smishing now, trying to get your information and your money through text messages.
Well, that's a lesson for us all. Don't be smished. Unfortunately, we're coming to the end of our no smishing, and we are coming to the end of the segment. But as always, Lisa, a wealth of knowledge and great information. Thank you so much. I hope you'll stay with us for the rest of the show. And
For the long haul.
All right. So,
Thank you for having me.
oh, you're absolutely welcome. And we'll be right back after this. Welcome back to Passage to Profit, everybody. Richard and Elizabeth Gearhart, we've been having a great time behind the scenes during that last commercial. I was just showing everybody my Gearhart Law coffee mug, and we're giving them away free to the 7th caller. So please contact us and you'll get your Gearhart Law
The
coffee.
show was recorded.
That's why I don't have to give any away. It works out. So it's time for Power Move. Kenya, Power Move us away. What do you have for us today?
Yeah, so for Power Move today, we're going to talk about Nelly and his new Keep It Real initiative with Burger King. So Burger King just launched their new preservative-free product initiative where they're going to be promoting their Whopper that has no preservatives and a whole bunch of other products. And it's a great example of being able to use, music and intellectual property to boost branding and business, right? So they're going to be using his iconic Hot in Here, depending where you're from. It could be Hot in Her. And they're using it as their music bed for the campaign. And they're using him as a spokesperson. And I'm super proud of him because that song is an old but goodie. And he's been able to keep it going all these years. So good for him.
Yeah, that's absolutely wonderful.
Well, I sure wish Burger King would ask me to do a PR campaign
We
with
could
them.
do the Passage to Profit, Burger King commercial. I do it for free, Burger King.
I think though that's really awesome, but I think people recognize the song, so it's going to click in their heads. And then also this new preservative-free. I wonder how that's going to taste.
Yeah, I'm kind of nervous about them taking all the preservatives out of food because that's like my favorite part. There it's so tasty. What's it going to taste like without preservatives? I mean,
especially the fries. Like I'm concerned about the fries. What is that going to taste like?
I sometimes order extra preservatives. Now what do I do?
Does that mean we can't have it for a year? Kenya?
I don't know. I mean, we should probably definitely sample it and try it out, right? And then just do like a before and after, taste test.
I have Burger King burgers sitting in here in my office now for 6 months, and they taste great. It's just, you don't even need to refrigerate.
Right. That's funny.
That definitely is a power move on his part. And that is really awesome. So moving on to Fireside.
Yeah, right? Why not?
So as some of you know, Fireside is my startup. So it's a video directory of small businesses, and Lisa's there and Valerie's there. And
I'm there.
And Richard's there. So I interview business owners about their businesses and put them in an actual directory, the videos in an actual directory. And I'm working on the website now to get it to look exactly the way I want it to look. Finishing up the patent application that I'm writing on it because I'm a patent agent too. And I had kind of quit interviewing people for a while because I was burned out on Zoom, to be quite honest with you. But I interviewed this wonderful young woman yesterday who has Toasty Sheets, who's actually on Passage to Profit. And I remembered why I was doing it because I had so much fun interviewing her. She was just so interesting, and she's an entrepreneur and talking about.
Plus, we got free Toasty Sheets.
No,
too.
they weren't free. I bought them.
You bought them?
I know.
You interviewed her and you bought the Toasty Sheets.
Well, I buy as much as I can. Well, look at it. I'm already Christmas shopping. So,
so how much do we owe the rest of the guests on the show?
Well, Jeff sent us product for free, but we're probably going to buy more of Jeff's products. So we're going to end up spending.
Good answer.
and Alexa, I know.
Wait a minute. This is not making sense.
I know, the show is costing you money.
In so many ways, I didn't even know.
But we get benefit from it because I'm going to
We get to pay for Toasty Sheets.
Well, and we're going to get.
I hope they're worth it. I hope they're worth it.
Wishbeads. And we found Valerie through the show. We've been using her for years, or
Right.
business for years. So it's a way for us to buy things we want to buy. Find things we want to buy.
This has turned out to be such a deal for us, I will tell you.
But anyway, so moving on, I do want to talk to Alexa, and she has Wishbeads. I think what she has is just so cool. I'm on her website. I am going to buy some, but I'm trying to figure out which ones to buy because she's got a great selection. So welcome, Alexa. Why don't you tell us about your company?
Oh, thank you for having me. It's absolutely been so much fun already. I'm a very accidental jewelry designer. I had been teaching confidence and communication skills for many, many years, working with both nonprofits, corporations, and doing online courses that had about 100, still has about 130,000 students around the world, not looking to create anything that was physical. And yet one fateful morning in the shower, I'm sure Lisa can appreciate this, many entrepreneurial ideas come in the shower. I literally heard the name Wishbeads and saw an intention setting bracelet where you would have the opportunity to really write down what you deeply desire, tuck it inside a cylinder, and wear it to remind yourself what you want to focus on and take action towards. And even though there was that moment that, felt sort of bigger than life, and I thought, well, that's a cool idea. The first thought that I had immediately after, wow, that's an amazing idea, was that is the most obvious name in the world, Wishbeads. And I'm curious whether or not it's available. Like immediately I had a trademark question. And so right after the shower, I run to the computer and I'm like, I'm just going to check. And sure enough, wishbeads.com was available. Many of the social media handles was available. And I thought that was a sign. Because in a way, creativity or our wishes, our desires, they are like, we're just plucking them, in my opinion, from who knows where. And as a creative person, I suddenly felt that I was the ambassador of this idea, that it was an obligation, and the sign that it was available was the push forward to figure it out. And of course, being a teacher and being an entrepreneur, that it came naturally to me to just be driven enough and curious enough and passionate enough about helping people that I just kept going. So my journey began actually with a Kickstarter campaign. We were talking about funding. And I was able to raise $25,000 in 30 days. And then from there, it took on a life of its own. And since then, I've had the privilege of showing my wares on The View and Good Morning America. And I wrote a book called Wishwork. So in addition to the bracelets and the necklaces, there is a program where you can visualize your wish and for 21 days do very simple exercises to help tune your mind and to start noticing the things that are happening around us that are actually encouraging us to take action towards what we desire. Because in a world of chaos, in a world where we are so driven to distraction with all of the things that are happening in our lives, I believe that we do have more power than we recognize, than we tap into to create the world that we want to live in and the life that we want to enjoy. And so Wishbeads is my contribution to that journey to create a beautiful intention setting jewelry.
Well, Alexa, you and Lisa Ascolese are identical twins.
Soulmates, you're automatic soulmates.
So I do want to talk about my shower story too. I was talking to Lisa one time.
This is getting good. I'm enjoying these showers.
Yeah. I'm talking to Lisa on the phone. We're talking, this was a few years ago. We're talking for like an hour or something. And she says, okay, well, I'm done with my shower now. I guess I gotta go. You were showering while we're talking. She's like, hey, I never stop.
Lisa, I live in California. So honestly, I have to have ideas download very quickly because we have to be very aware of how much water we're using.
So just calling out to our other guests, if you have shower stories that you'd like to mention on the program, please feel free.
But Lisa actually runs a Motivational Monday group, and the vibe to me feels very much the same, right, Lisa?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Lisa, I have no doubt that you and I will have many conversations after this. I'm really excited to connect with you, but I think that's what is also exciting about this time is that as creative people, and everybody is creative, we have the ability to come up with solutions instead of being in a place where if you have enough energy inside of you to get out of a place of feeling stuck and overwhelmed, which I have great compassion for, suddenly you are in the driver's seat to bring things to the world that can actually help people. So whether you're helping them irrigate their plants and lawns and things like that, you're helping them with virtual services, you're helping them with taking their idea and putting it out in the marketplace. When we get into that vibration, it's exciting. And it's not that it's every day is fun. It's just that there is a drive there that makes you feel in alignment with your purpose. And to me, that is what keeps me motivated and activated and excited every day to see how I can make a positive impact in someone's life.
Well, you already have for me. I mean, I love your energy. I love your positivity. And I have to say that I know you are surrounded by positive people. It's impossible that you're not.
Yeah. And that's so true, Lisa. And I'm thinking about kind of the angels that have shown up in the most absolutely miraculous ways. And a dear friend of mine was just leading some business training, and I had the privilege of sitting in. And he reminded us that your problems, your challenges are actually the treasure, the treasure. And when you can stay, instead of going, oh no, what a challenge, whether it's shipping or sourcing, you have this opportunity to say, wow, I have another challenge that I can look at, and it's going to help me refine my business, ask deeper questions, see if I can improve and hone. And I realized that entrepreneurship is one of the most powerful forms of self-discovery.
I agree. Works better. I think
I have to show you something.
I think your method works better than mine, which is to throw my laptop against the wall.
I want to show you something real quick. And I know we have to move it along, but I teach a class. Do you see this?
Problems.
Okay. Do you see this?
Lisa's holding up white cards.
Challenges.
Challenges.
You see this?
Solutions.
All right.
And I mean, and this is what you're talking about. So I have to speak to your product number one. I absolutely love it. 20 people went through my head that I want to get this for, including myself.
Right.
I love that you had the passion and the perseverance immediately to do it and keep it moving, doing it immediately, doing it right away and digging in and not saying, okay, you know what, maybe in 2 days I'll do this. I'm going to do it now. As soon as I get out of the shower, I'm not even dry. Let's go look. Let's go find a domain quickly. Find a domain, secure it, talk to Richard and Elizabeth, see if you could trademark it, the whole thing. Love it. And I'm thinking of so many ways. Positivity, yes, 100%. Even people who have issues that have to be reminded to not do certain things.
Yep.
Yes. To remind themselves to not do certain things. Back in the day, it was like take a rubber band. Let's not eat that cheeseburger again.
Right. But instead of reinforcing the negative thing, what you're doing is reinforcing the positive thing.
Yes. I love it.
And staying hopeful. Our minds are creating the world we live in, which I know is a little bit deep for this, maybe this podcast. But
that's not deep at all. But when my neighbors see me running across the living room, out of the shower naked, they know I have a new idea, right? So
he does. But Alexa, I wanted to ask you, so when I went on your website, I saw beautiful bracelets. Do you make other jewelry or is it strictly bracelets?
No, I also have necklaces. So this is a necklace. It's the same concept where you have the cylinder unscrews, you write a little, and you tuck your wish paper inside. All of our boxes come with a little wish paper underneath. So you have your wish paper. And of course I had to include a toothpick for easy rolling because I needed a toothpick to roll it up nice and tight. But, I will say one thing that I found, and I think this speaks to, you have an idea, of course, we're used to buying things online in many cases, but when I'm in front of people, I saw over and over again that I was teaching people about the power of the gemstones themselves. Mm-hmm. So I have an intention collection, and we are just about to launch a quiz online that people can take so that they can find out what are they struggling with, what are they looking to create in their life. And then that we were going to align them or show them results that how you can align and choose a gemstone that is that will help you in with your wish. So whether you're looking for wellness, you're looking for financial support, you're looking for creativity, that there are certain gemstones that actually have energetic properties that can kind of amplify your wish and just to give you that energetic support.
I just wanted to go to Kenya real quick because she hasn't had a chance to chime in. So Kenya, what is your thought on this?
I mean, I love the idea and the concept. You actually solved a big problem for me. I don't know if you know this, but the Bible says to write the vision and make it plain, right? So writing things on paper is super important, right? To get it out there into the universe. And I have a little index card. I have a lot of these laying around. I don't know if you've ever heard of The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale, but there's a little challenge in there where you write your intention down, you write your prayer, your wish or whatever. And then on the other side, I have Matthew 7:7, but I carry these around and I don't have anything to put them in, right? So I'm
Now you
gonna
do.
get one of your bracelets so I can actually carry it with me. I carry index cards in my wallet. They get all disgusting and nasty after a while. So I'm happy that you solved this because I'm like, it would be great to have it in a little like wristlet so I can just like say, hey, like, you know, you
Yeah.
have those moments where you're very discouraged and you're like,
Everyone
need a little
does.
pick me up. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I
absolutely.
love the idea and the concept. And I
Thank
was
you.
curious if you were, I had one more quick question. Would you consider putting some sort of challenge together along with people writing out intentions, almost like an intention challenge to go along with your marketing? Because I feel like if there was something tied to, you know, a challenge or some sort, it would give people an incentive to like really take it serious and then kind of hold themselves to it.
Kenya, I love that. And I will tell you one of my big wish, it's actually in this particular matte black onyx bracelet. My vision, in addition to creating Wishbeads, is to have an event where over 1 million people are wishing at once. And for the last year, I partnered up with a brilliant woman, and we are putting this vision in place to not just say, oh, I hope that happens, but I think that you have visioning and then you have the work and the effort and the strategy to make things happen. So this event is going to take some time, but the challenge is to create this event and have it actually benefit around the topic of mental health. So we are actively working on that because I believe that when we get collectively enough people together to anchor their ideas, to write it down, to set their intentions, it will have energy that I hope will affect people who may not even know about this event.
Well-
And in this world right now, where I think the mental health crisis is so big right now that we're not even addressing it because we're still very much in COVID, that I'm hoping that this type of activity collectively will help address and lift people's spirits and remind them to connect with their own inner light and with their own power of their visions so that they can, live a brighter life and be the solution that they've been hoping for.
I like that because hope is not a strategy.
So
Hope is an energy, and the minute you say I
Amen.
feel it, you bring it. So people can activate it more quickly than they
Amen.
realize.
Love it.
We could talk about this all day, I'm sure. I mean, I see some serious synergies here, but unfortunately, we only have a 54-minute time slot. So we're gonna have to wrap this segment up, but I hope we can all keep in touch and keep the conversation going offline somewhere. So
Let's connect after the show for sure. Okay.
Definitely.
100%.
listeners, you are listening to Passage to Profit on WOR 710, the voice of New York, with Richard and Elizabeth Gearhart and our special guest this evening, Lisa Ascolese. We'll be right back. Welcome back, listeners. You're listening to Passage to Profit, the Inventor Show with Richard and Elizabeth Gearhart.
This is the subdued version.
Our special guest this evening, Lisa Ascolese. And if you missed our conversations so far in the show, our podcast comes out tomorrow, and we had some really great conversations, so you should take a peek and listen to it. And now I am so happy to have Jeff Gordon on the show with Daisy Rain Garden. He sent us his product, and Richard was like a little boy at Christmas. Like he was like, "Oh my gosh,
I was
can't
so-
believe I haven't had
I
this
was
before."
so stoked when I got this. Did you order this from Amazon? I couldn't believe that
I was-
Elizabeth would order something so like that, because
And I
that's
was
just like a
like,
not
"No,
her
Jeff
thing to
said-
order.
Jeff said,
It's better to explain it in person when you see it. It's a simple idea, and what we've done is basically we've created a sprinkler that is, as you've seen, the flower pot, and the flower pot and the sprinkler are one. So you connect up your flower pots. You can do 25 off of a single hose, and put it on a timer, couple AA batteries, and you'll never have the 12-year-old kid when on vacation water your plants, and things actually grow. It's fun to have a product that you make that actually works. We're fortunate to we have a house in California and a house here in Portland. And every time we spend 6 weeks or so at one house and the other, when we go down and the flowers are all beautiful, my wife to this day cries.
Yeah, well,
with joy.
it solves a huge problem for us because we have this berm in between our driveway and the neighbor's driveway, and we have potted plants in there, but our sprinkler system doesn't go there. So like you said, we don't usually remember to water them. And it's weird because like one of them will die and the rest will stay alive. I don't know. But I think that we are going to replace all of that with the system that you sent us. And we're probably gonna have to buy more because then we want one for our deck.
Which brings up an interesting question. So do you have to like grow the plants? Can you put pre-existing plants? A pre-existing plant, what is that? Can you put,
Yes.
can you put real live plants that are already growing into these pots?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the one thing that is even better about this is you can germinate seeds. So you can do, because it waters from the top down, just like a regular sprinkler, they don't have to be firmly established. And they make our competition, which isn't our competition, but it's the only other product, is a reservoir pot. And they fill up, first of all, you have to fill them up every week or so. But the problem is you have to buy established plants with big roots to reach down to that water. So ours is truly a gardening where you can start with small things that you've germinated inside. You can start with seeds, you can grow vegetables, or you can do just what you said, buy big established plants. You can, our pot is a 7-gallon pot. It'll take any plant to full maturity. So we've grown pumpkins in them, tomatoes, and then obviously ornamental flower pots. And one thing I was just going to say, this is because it dovetails with this show, our patent issued yesterday. So it was really funny that it issued yesterday, and then I'm on this show today. I just thought that was ironic.
Well,
That's amazing. Congratulations.
and you are one of, I was just gonna say, you are one of a very select piece of society because there are very few people that actually have patents that make it all the way through, that have the tenacity to stay with it. And
She has a patent too, so this is why she's saying that. But
no, but there are very few people that actually are granted patents. You have to have something truly innovative. So congratulations.
Well, I feel cheated though, in the sense that, in your last conversation about hope and inspiration and all these great things, I went out to buy these and I couldn't find a solution. And I had tried every single product in that whole section of Home Depot. I've gone through everything, I've done all, and there's nothing that works. So I thought, I'm just going to go on the computer and buy these. They have to exist. And they didn't. So I was really cheated out of I've got a great idea. I honestly was going to buy these. And, and now that you can do kind of your own patent search. And I probably, if it was 20 years ago and you had to go to an attorney, I probably wouldn't have done a patent search. But now you could do it yourself. So I did it. And I told my wife, this is patentable. And we kind of didn't do anything about it. But then we saw some people with this is going to sound crazy, with a suitcase and have wheels on it, a handle. And we thought, how many people had that idea before the one guy wrote the patent and did it? And the next Monday morning, we called the patent attorney.
Good for you. Richard always points out in these movies we watch, oh, you can see they didn't have luggage with wheels.
Well, you know what? We did a trade show, and we were to talk about COVID and how it's affected. Before COVID, one of the only trade shows we got to do, I had a group of people around me, 4 or 5 deep. I think it was the National Hardware Show in Las Vegas. And a guy from 3 people back says, hey, that's my idea. I invented that 10 years ago. And I shook his hand. I said, thanks for not doing anything with it.
Thanks for not getting a patent, dude.
That's right. That's right.
You're a man after our own hearts.
Yeah.
Really.
Well, it was just kind of interesting, but I think the project, and it kind of chose me in the sense that my wife and I were commercial real estate people. We weren't looking for a job at all. And when we came up with this, and then the next iteration of this. We've started with the flower pot, but now we've made a tray so you can use it under a wine barrel. You can use any flower pot you want. And the crazy thing for me is when you think about flower pots or pots in general, go back, clear back to what, Mesopotamia, where they had flower pots, and plumbing goes back to the Romans. But in all that time, we still run the hose outside the pot over the top, and nobody has come through the bottom of the pot. And when you do that, you can do it with 1/2-inch pipes, so there's no clogging. It's a regular sprinkler within your flower pot. As a result, it works. And that's a big difference. You know, a lot of great ideas are great ideas, but they don't work. This really works.
Well, are you interested in QVC? Because we have a QVC champ right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know
ready.
what? We are, in terms of, you know, that's when you talk about, you know, the great ideas. If you had a weight loss product that tastes like beef stew and you lost a pound every time you ate it and you can make it for a dime, you still have to go out and sell it. And selling is the thing I don't think a lot of people, I said I owe every salesman I've ever worked with in 40 years an apology, because I didn't, you know, sales to me was something you did when you couldn't get a job. And now I realize it is a hard job, and it is a skill, and it takes skill set that not a lot of people have. And it's really tough. It's really tough.
Yeah.
And
well,
it's nonstop. You can't stop selling. You just
That's
don't
right.
stop selling.
That's right.
And you're right. People don't understand that. You know, many people, inventing is easy for some of us, right? You invent a product, like I said, you want to take a product and just put it on the shelf. But there's a lot of in-betweens. How do I market it? How do I not just keep it in my basement?
Right. And,
No.
and one of the things that came up for us, and I think you'll find this unique, is again, we're at the National Home Show, Hardware Show in Las Vegas, and we are getting swarmed by all the usual suspects. And I believe QVC was even there. I couldn't keep track of everybody. But what is unique is we get somebody that comes over from a True Value Hardware and says, I love this product. I love it. But I'm only allowed to buy flower pots and home furnishings. I'm not allowed to buy plumbing. And about an hour later, a guy comes from True Value and says, I love this product, but I'm only allowed to buy hoses and plumbing and not allowed to buy flower pots. So what you would think would be a great deal that we've kind of come through the middle and created a category is what's holding us up, because they're in a big box store, there's no place to put our product. It doesn't go in the garden center because they keep plumbing in the plumbing center, and it doesn't go in plumbing because it's a flower pot.
Well, they're category buyers, Jeff. Sorry to cut you off, but they're a category buyers who will collaborate. And, you know, for a place like QVC or HSN or Shop HQ, that's what they do. That's how they have all of these fabulous products on. Yes, there are different categories, but they come together in order to sell a wonderful product like yours. Well, I'd love to be able to speak with you also.
That'd be great, you know, and the unique thing to me is the fact that you have to deal with the store managers and the floor people and the actual practical people that handle it. And when you've got a company as diverse as the largest hardware company in the world, and they have their buyers and neither one of them can commit to it because it's outside their little realm, it's tough. It's really a tough thing it's a tough thing to do.
It's disappointing because here they have a product that a lot of consumers would love and solve a lot of problems, but because of internal reasons, they can't talk to each other and figure something out. Obviously not. So Kenya, what are your comments?
Yeah, so we're on the radio, right? And we're theater of the mind. So I was hoping you could kind of paint this visual for us, for our radio listeners so they can understand how this whole thing works in the watering world.
Okay, it's really simple, and that best ideas are simple. But what we've done is we've taken a channel, and it's probably too close to show here. This channel here. will hold, and that's really good for radio, isn't it? The channel will accept any pipe that's a 1/2-inch pipe. So you don't have to use our pipe or anything, but what it does is the name is daisy rain. We daisy chain. The pipe runs through the flower pot. It has a riser that comes up that operates a real sprinkler, and then it travels on to the next pot. And so it's in fact a hose with risers that you set the pot on. And now the actual plumbing becomes part of the pot. So the dirt protects the sprinkler, and literally you set it up one time, you blow the dirt out, and you never have to touch it again. And so the competition, and when I say the competition, you've all heard about drip irrigation, and drip irrigation is done for containers. It all has a little hose that comes up the side of the pot, and every dog knocks it out. The wind knocks it out. It's such small gauge that they clog. And this is the funny thing. When I get resistance from people who look at it and go, well, I do drip irrigation. And I say, yeah. And when it runs for 10 days without you monkeying with it, don't you feel like you're the smartest person on earth? And they say, yes, I do. Well, this is for people that don't want to feel smart. You set it up in May, you don't touch it till October. So,
that's a great tagline.
I should talk to Kenya about some great taglines, but we have to go. Yeah, unfortunately, but it's daisyraingarden.com. And honestly, we can hardly wait to set ours up and use it. And I would suggest anybody that lives anywhere where they want to grow plants outside should check this out, right?
Our tagline, reliable and expandable daisy rain. That's us. So check it out. It's a sprinkler pot and a sprinkler saucer.
Excellent. So listeners, you are listening to Passage to Profit on WOR.
Did you forget already what radio station
my
we're
tongue
on?
actually twisted up.
Oh, yeah.
You're listening to Passage to Profit on WOR 710, the voice of New York, with Richard Elizabeth Gearhart, our special guest, Lisa Ascolese, the Inventress, and we'll be right back.
It's the voice with the twisted tongue.
Actually, well, I don't know. Welcome back, listeners. You're listening to Passage to Profit on WOR 710. With Richard and Elizabeth Gearhart, our special guest, Lisa Ascolese, the Inventress. And we are on to our final presenter, who came on our show 3 years ago. We were so impressed with her that we started using her service, and we've been using it ever since. So welcome, Valerie Trapunsky. Tell us about Chatterboss.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be back, and just everything that you guys do for entrepreneurs. It's been an amazing friendship that we've been able to form over this time. So I'm Valerie. I'm a former personal assistant to high net worth individuals and A-list celebrities. And when I got burnt out from that career, I decided to start Chatterboss. Chatterboss is a on-demand remote executive assistant service. We work with entrepreneurs and business owners, and we give them access to a dedicated admin share. Entrepreneurs, you guys might, well, I know that Richard and Elizabeth, you guys know, but entrepreneurs spend 30 to 60% of their time bogged down with administrative tasks, whether they know that those are administrative tasks or not. It's just something that starts to kind of happen on autopilot as we do our business and our day-to-day. So we work with entrepreneurs to give them admins to support them with that administrative burden. We also coach our entrepreneurs how to delegate and how to outsource effectively. And what is unique about our service is that, one, we pair you to a dedicated and on-demand assistant. That's the person that knows you. They're the one that you're interacting with for all of the day-to-day. However, there's also a backup in case your dedicated assistant is sick or is away or something happens. So the team has the ability to expand with you. We take really great care in pairing our clients and assistants based on a sophisticated character assessment. We get to learn your personality and the assistant's personality.
Wait a minute. You did a character assessment of me? I want to see the results, first of all. And did I get an F on my character assessment?
No, she must have done a good job, because I'll tell you, using Chatterboss is addictive. First of all, the people she gets are really smart and really good, and they give us lots of ideas and feedback. And secondly, you just want to use them more and more. So we have 2 people working for us now from Chatterbox. But we interrupted you. Please continue.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, I just the character assessment worries me. We have to talk about that after.
Well, Richard, so this was, we met 3 years ago, and back then it was a very tedious process to get each of the assistants on, and the lead time between when we would onboard an assistant and introduce them to clients was very long. Now that we are scaling, we had to find a solution to be able to replicate that. And what we're able to do is we're actually, by using this assessment, we're able to guarantee a 99% match that you and the assistant are going to be a good personality match. And the reason that we over-index on this is because when you're looking, and we believe building the teams around the dedicated assistant, and we believe that an executive assistant wears so many different hats. There's no templates for the kind of work that they're doing. And so we lean on, do you guys like each other? Do you understand each other? Is the communication, like you guys are not ships passing in the night, that you are on the same page and you're connected and your communication is good. And so coming out of that, so yes, and we could character assess. Yeah, I would be actually very curious, Richard, now that you say this.
Don't break your test. But yeah, so we've been using Chatterbox, as I said, and it was a good match for us.
It was, yeah.
The person that we have really gives us a lot of good ideas, as I said.
Yeah, I mean, we use Chatterbox. Alicia Morrissey is our production assistant for Passage to Profit. She's just been off the charts great. But
what's good too is that we can say to Alicia, do you know how to do this? Or do you have someone? She says, I can find you somebody at Chatterbox that can do that.
Right. So if we need video editing, they'll find a video editing person for us. If we need social media help, they'll find a social media help person for us. And it really saves a lot of time. I completely and totally rely on chat. And it's not just saying this. I mean, I probably have increased my productivity probably 10 or 15% just by delegating tasks, even simple things like go on Amazon and find me a water bottle, instead of spending quality time with my Amazon account, I go and I let them do it because water bottle shopping doesn't do anything for me anymore. But they're so good at helping with these like small things. I can focus on other things that need to be done. So
Lisa, what do you think?
I actually thought you were going to say, so instead of spending time shopping on Amazon for water bottles, I could spend more time with my wife.
No. He doesn't want to do that.
No, as far as she's concerned, we already spend enough time together. So I don't think we'd be helping either one of us. But maybe Chatterbox has a solution for this. What do you think, Valerie?
Well, we also do marriage counseling, group therapy.
So Valerie, I love your business. I love your business model. I do have a question. Well, first of all, how long have you been doing this? How long have you been in business with Chatterbox?
This is our 5th year.
That's fantastic. And do you have a staff? You have people on staff? Have you, do you do dedicated sourcing for specific people? Because as you say, I'm a person who thinks I could do it all in my business, and I have a hard time always delegating. And even as something as little as shopping for a water bottle, or me, I have a team of people who could do certain things, right? And I'm putting together my AOE members' birthday list. Why am I doing that? You follow what I'm saying? I'm putting together a list of the members' birthdays, and I'm doing it. Why am I doing that? That's time that I could allocate and dedicate.
Why are you doing that?
Well, a little wacky. And it's not necessary. So I'd love to speak with you about more details. You said you do some analyzing, you group people together. I'd love to connect with you and get more insight to what you're doing. Love it.
It's that cost. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's that cost of switching from one task to another. So Richard, I love that you mentioned this task about the water bottle, right? Because it doesn't take that much time. But the fact was that maybe you were going to go into a deep thinking task. And now you're like, okay, this idea came as, we were talking about where do ideas come from, or like when we like remember to do something. And what do I do with it now, right? Do I drop it or do I give it to somebody to handle for me? And so that could take 5, 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes of somebody's time. But those 20 minutes, it's just actually you're switching from one thing to another. And then it's actually, you don't get into those deep thinking tasks. And as entrepreneurs, that's the danger. If you're spending all day just kind of, okay, let me just put out this small fire, this small fire, this small thing, just so I don't forget. At the end of the day, you take inventory. What did I do today? Right. And is it actually pushing my business forward to where I would like it to be?
Absolutely. And so, I plan my week out on Sundays. And so I actually have a list of Chatterboss tasks that I list that I can think of. And then I send my assistant that list of tasks to get done for the week. And it includes things like that, like we're having a deck built. So instead of me dealing with the town trying to get a permit for the deck, I send it off to Chatterboss, and then they'll get the forms, they'll contact the people, they'll send it back, and I'll say, okay, well, fill out the form as much as you can, and then send it back to me. And then I just have to fill out a few boxes, and then they send it back. Right. Now, that's normally something that would take hours to figure out.
With our town.
But they, I don't even have to think about it.
I know Kenya had something to say.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I want to say I'm trying to get on Richard's level where I have someone shopping for my water bottles, because that's very, task. But just really quickly, what are some signs that you need to delegate and you need to start getting stuff off your plate for those of us who don't read the signs?
Yeah, look, if you're an entrepreneur, right, that's a sign, right? If you're just you've started your business, that's a sign, right? The reason for that is once you start, because there's administrative tasks always. So kind of once you start doing them, they snowball, and then it's really just hard to like separate yourself from them. And, I like how you or it was interesting for me. You said, I'd like to get on Richard's level, but it's actually all entrepreneurs. Though that's something that takes 5 to 10 minutes. And if you look at what is the value of your hour, you will automatically, if you look at it that way, you'll say, definitely, that's something that I will delegate. But I think that once entrepreneurs have reached that point where they have so many push activities on their calendar, meaning they're kind of no longer in control, right? There's a lot of things that need to be done, a lot of things that are needed from them. And from the time they wake up to the time they kind of log off for the day, they're they've kind of created a glorified job for themselves. They're no longer running their business. So, signs, for sure, you could look at stress. Are you snapping at people around you, right? Are you kind of, are you getting
throwing
very
your laptop
irritated?
against the wall? Yeah.
Throwing your Gearhart Law coffee mug across the room.
My water bottle.
Yes.
Great. I feel like we could have had this show go on all day. I love talking to you guys. Unfortunately, our producer Noah would throttle me if I did that. So we're going to have to wrap up. But Valerie's business is Chatterboss, and I'm going to go through all the websites when we come back. So if you missed everybody's website or anybody's website, I'll run through them. So listeners, you are listening to Passage to Profit, the Inventor Show on WOR 710, the Voice of New York.
Well, welcome back, everybody. Passage to Profit. I thought that was an amazing show, wasn't it?
It was a really fun show.
I really had a good time.
I had a good time, and we had really great presenters, and of course, the fabulous Lisa Ascolese. So if you missed it, the podcast is out tomorrow. So look for us, Passage to Profit. But I want to run through who we had on the show quickly.
Well, sounds like a great idea.
We had Lisa Ascolese, the Inventress, and her website is her website is inventingatoz.com, inventingatoz.com.
Brilliant, capable, and enchanting.
And so she helps you take your product from the idea in your head all the way through the process to get on QVC. So she knows it all. And then Kenya Gipson from iHeartMedia, Kenya Gipson with a P, and Kenya Gipson at iHeartMedia.com talked about a power move. And she also can help you if you want to explore advertising on the radio or digital advertising.
Yep, they do a great job. We've been using iHeart Digital Media for a long, long time. Thank you, Kenya, and to the whole iHeart team for that.
And then we had Alexa Fischer with Wishbeads, wishbeads.com. And it's more than just jewelry. You'll see when you go there, it's a whole positive way to live your life. And then Jeff Gordon with Daisy Rain Garden Systems, daisyraingarden.com, a truly innovative product that I think any homeowner or apartment dweller that wants, anybody can use.
Keep those plants watered.
And then Valerie Trapunsky with Chatterboss. So that's not Chatterbox, which you think of as Chatterboss, BOSS at the end, chatterboss.com, with her virtual assistant service, which we've been using and just love.
Yep, be the boss.
So what's next?
Well, before we sign off, final thoughts from Kenya and Lisa. What are your thoughts, Kenya, for today?
Well, I think we were talking about this like universal, theme of time, right? So with Alexa, we had the wish beads and just being able to write things down and praying for them and manifesting them, right? Putting things like into the universe so things happen. And then Valerie with Chatterboss. I mean, I want to call you. Yeah, I wanted to call you Alicia, but it is Valerie. I'm so excited. Conditioned in my head. So just time management and like delegating and just being able to put things in perspective and giving us some of our day back. And then Jeff with Daisy Rain, right? I always forget to water my plants just because I don't have enough time, and it just doesn't. It's not something I think to do. So you're saving us time and energy. And I just love that it was all encompassing today.
Making the world beautiful too. I mean,
yeah.
What could be better than that? Lisa?
Saving time.
Yeah.
Lisa?
I'm just grinning from ear to ear. I feel so inspired by all of you today. Everybody had something great to offer, and I'm shopping from everybody today. I really am. I think it's so wonderful. And I love the energy. I love that we are all uplifted. I feel like this power is happening, right? Very, 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 very engaged. And I'm all heated up and ready to get in the shower and invent something else.
Well, we have 2 showers in our house, so there's a lot of inventing. Wait a minute.
So thank you, Elizabeth. This has been so much fun. Thank you so much, Elizabeth and Richard, for having me on the show. Always a pleasure, Kenya, and everybody else. So wonderful meeting you all. And I always say, just keep on lifting each other up 2 hands at a time. And sometimes you got to use your foot. I can't raise my leg right now, but you know what I mean.
We do. And unfortunately, it's time for us to sign off. I want to thank all of our listeners. We love you. Keep those cards and letters coming in for sure. And also, I'd like to take a moment to thank everybody who makes Passage to Profit possible. First of all, Noah Fleischman, our producer, Alicia Morrissey, our programming assistant
From
Chatterboss, and also Chatterboss for the video editing too. So you can tell we're really into these folks. And I'd like to thank the whole iHeart team as well. You're listening to Passage to Profit on iHeart Radio on WOR 710, the voice of New York.